to go and post something and be like, oh yeah, produced by me and Turbo and Cannon, and it's like,
yeah,
you don't,
they do that on the ground.
it's like you don't even know this person.
You put your name.
Who gives a f if I know you or don't know you? Did I produce the record? Yes or no? Did I produce the record? Yes or no? If yes, I'm putting me / Turbo / whoever the f. It's my Instagram account. I'm promoting my shit. Do I gotta put your name first? The f type of princess treatment you want?
Looks like the producer versus Loopmaker beef is back, and I hate it. This all started with a interview between Don Cannon and Turbo the Great. Shout out to the Tomorrow Network. So I want to just watch one specific part because this is kind of the heart of the conversation that started this whole controversy.
You know what I mean? And I feel like they losing the art because it's so, you know what I mean? I'm going through something right now where this boy is giving somebody that's not even a producer credit.
So I encourage you to watch the full interview. Prior to this, Turbo was telling Don Cannon that he's frustrated that Loopmakers are considering themselves producers or co-producers on tracks when all they did was send him the loop. They weren't present in the studio. They weren't a part of the actual production of the song. They were a part of the production of the loop, but that because he was the one in the studio with the artist actually seeing the record to completion, that he was the producer and therefore he's the sole person who should receive credit as a producer. Now, I've talked about some of the horror stories with Loopmakers. I've personally not experienced anything super ugly, but Pink Dreads, that situation is something that we talked about. That sounded terrible if it was real. And I'll be honest with you, this resonates because a lot of times there are Loopmakers who will just reach out, send a bunch of stuff that's not great. Shout out to all the, I'm a Loopmaker. So when I talk like this, people are like, why do you hate Loopmakers? I love Loopmakers. I am a Loopmaker. I don't hate myself. And I work with amazing talent. As a collaborative loop maker, I make loops, I send out loops, I receive loops, I collaborate on loops, I flip loops, I do all types of stuff. Loops, I love them. But there is a difference between somebody being in the studio with an artist and producing and being, another thing he was talking about is if and when a producer, a co-producer gets into the studio with him and the artist, that producer will oftentimes just sit there timidly, not offering any feedback. And I think producers have to stop doing that. I think producers are missing out on a lot when they just sit back and provide no input, no direction, no vision to the overall song, where they make the beat and they feel like their job is done. Nothing necessarily wrong with that. I just think you're missing out on a lot. And I think that it's a valid conversation to have about what a person can call themselves if they're not involved in the song process, or if they're not in communication, if they don't have a vision and all they do is make the beat. They're still, in my opinion, they're still a producer because they produced the beat. To produce is to create. They created the beat, or they produced a sample. They created the sample. But when it comes to this whole credit situation, who gets credit as the producer, I'm not mad at Turbo for this opinion at all. A lot of loop makers are in different states, different countries, different continents, and they're just sending loops, and they'll send me loops. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're trash, and the expectation is that I'm going to make a beat out of it and get that beat placed for them. I would love it if more loop makers reached out to me and they were like, hey, I have these loops and I'm also working on this project. I'm working on the Lil Baby project. Send me back some collabs and you shop it on your end. I'll shop it on my end. That would be more of a 50-50 partnership. You know what I mean? Because a lot of producers can make beats without loops. I can make my own loops, but I love using other people's loops. So I wish that things were a little more fairly split when it comes to the responsibilities of who's actually getting the track placed, who's handling the business.
And percentage. And it's not even about the percentage. I don't even care.
We got to put a pin in that because he's talking about the credit, then he talks about the percentage, the ownership percentage. And that's where I have to start disagreeing. He didn't actually go as far as to say that a loop maker doesn't deserve a percentage. I'm glad he didn't say that. It just made me nervous when he said that. That's all.
It's more so about the credit.
Yeah, but why?
I don't even know.
What was that? So did Don Cannon ask why, as in why are people who are loop makers wanting credit, or did he ask why is Turbo so strict about who gets credited? I'm not sure. It was ambiguous. I'd like to know. I want to know what Don Cannon's intention was there.
No, he's not a producer. He don't even speak the language. And it's like you giving him credit, you know what I'm saying, for like a huge song and having your name as a producer next to mine as a real producer. And it's like, why are you, I'm just looking out for my man.
All right, so that's where the conversation gets contentious. People start getting mad about what he just said because he's effectively saying if you're a loop maker, you don't deserve co-production credit. All right, I personally don't see the problem with just sharing credit. When it comes to splits, I'm gonna die on this hill. All composers deserve splits. All composers deserve equity. So let's just get that out of the way. If you compose part of the song, you deserve a split because you are legally considered a songwriter. You contributed to the writing of the song. I don't care if it's drums. I don't care if it's a vocal portion. I don't care what it is. Even if you get 1%, 2%, 3%, you deserve something. And this isn't anything new. A lot of people say, oh, this has to do with the hip hop, and it doesn't. It's not genre specific. I always think back to Clyde Stubblefield. Clyde Stubblefield was James Brown's drummer. He composed and played all those drum parts that became iconic, that really contributed to the entire genre of hip hop, and he died in debt. James Brown died as a multimillionaire. Clyde Stubblefield did not. Anytime that someone sampled the funky drummer break, James Brown got paid, his label got paid, Clyde Stubblefield did not get paid because they considered him a session player, so everything he played was work for hire. He did not get any equity. I think that's terrible. I think that's demonic. I think that's awful. I mean, the man's drumming generated tens of millions of dollars, maybe more, maybe hundreds of millions of dollars. And again, they had to crowdfund for his funeral. His loved ones couldn't cover his funeral expenses, and he's generated millions. Come on. If you think that's cool, we're not the same. Now, if I send a loop and I get a placement and I get my split, cool. Even if I'm not getting credit. However, I would probably feel a way if I saw that producer doing an interview talking about DJ Payne 1 doesn't deserve any credit. He's not even a real producer because he just sent me the loop. I might feel a way about this, but if I'm making money off the placement, I'm probably going to keep my mouth shut. Because I'm thinking about a scenario where I compose a melody or a chord progression or a start or whatever for a more famous producer. I get my splits, I get paid, and the more famous producer gets all of the credit. Am I really gonna lose my mind over that? Nah, everyone has their reasons, everyone has their priorities. Turbo made it very clear that credit is a hill he's gonna die on. He prioritizes credit. I used to be more concerned with credit. That was my priority. Right now, my priority is financial freedom. So getting splits is what I need. Credit's not necessarily gonna get me paid directly. So to be clear, if I sent Turbo some loops and he made some hit songs with them and I got 15 to 20% of the underlying composition split, I'm not going to complain. I'm cool with that. He can take the credit. I've been in this scenario before and I looked up this Baby Drill record. So this was under ATL Jacob, obviously a much bigger producer brand than me. ATL Jacob, there's no debate there. This was back in 2023 and I click on the credits. I didn't provide the credits here. I don't know who provided the credits. I'm assuming it was the label, but when I click on two more, okay, there's my name. If it had just said ATL Jacob or if it had just said ATL Jacob and Hendrix Smoke, I wouldn't be mad about that. It is what it is. But the fact that this happened so seamlessly and I got the credit and I got the split that I asked for, it makes me think that these situations don't need to happen. I'll tell you what happened with the ATL Jacob situation. I just got an email from his team saying, what percentage do you guys want? And I said 20. I want 20%. They replied, cool. That was the end of it. I swear to you, it was the easiest thing in the world. And of course, I only asked for 20. ATL Jacob should get the majority of it. It's his industry credibility that got the placement to begin with. It wasn't mine. I didn't get the placement. I'll take 20. I don't care about nitpicking. I'm not stubborn. I'm not going to be silly about this stuff. If there's anything I learned in the music business, it's to just be flexible. Don't sell out. Don't do something that's not going to sit right with your soul. But this was fine. I'm experienced enough to know that this is fine. Because when you send loops to a bigger producer, you are relying on that bigger producer to handle the business, to get you the placement, to get you the opportunity, and you get paid from that. You're not getting paid without that producer. You could build your brand up. You could network. You could get to the point where you're doing it yourself. But a lot of loop makers get put on by producers. This happens all the time. And usually it's fine. The vast majority, like 99% of the time, it's fine. This is just one of those rare instances in which it became a big, ugly situation, evidently. As a matter of fact, I'm trying to find this email that I got. This is a real email. The guy is asking me if he could send me his beats for me to sell on my platform and then give him 50% of it. This is what I mean. This is when things cross into kind of offensive territory where it's like, all right, man, you need me to do your business for you, to make your money for you, and you're offering me 50-50 splits. Why can't I just do it on my own? So I'm guessing there are a lot of produce, and this happens to me all the time. People offer this to me all the time. It's not a good deal because I can just upload my own beats or upload beats from people that I love working with, and that, you know, I can actually share the responsibility of the business with, not simply putting, you know, like, I shouldn't have to explain this. You know what I'm talking about. This is crazy. So I imagine being a bigger producer, you're kind of like blood in the water for a lot of loop makers that have these ulterior motives, and they can't all be good people. So I don't pretend to know exactly what went down between Turbo and these loop makers that he's speaking on. I did see today that BricksDaMane made a video about this situation. I just wanted to watch this one section right quick.
What's gonna happen is you're gonna fuck your face card up because you're just gonna look messy and nobody's gonna want to work with you. I promise you, I've seen it multiple.
Okay, what he's talking about here is if something happens to you, if there's a bad situation, if you get into a conflict with a producer, he's saying don't go to the internet and air out the problems. Because I guess the producer that Turbo's talking about went online and aired out the whole situation and drummed up some support. So now people are weighing in and it's just become a matter of public opinion. I've experienced this before.
Multiple times. I've seen multiple producer drama. Prime example, like the Palace and Gunboy shit. As soon as the Palace and Gunboy shit happened, I called Gunboy. I said, Gunboy, do not run to the fucking internet, bro. The nigga ran to the internet. Now look, this has happened. I've been in the game too long, bro.
I don't know what the outcome was. Did Gunboy experience some type of backlash for the whole Palace situation when he aired that situation out? I don't know. I haven't been following. Did either of them face consequences, or are they all good? I don't know. Someone leave a comment.
This shit happened too many times. Do not run to the fucking internet. Handle your business like a man. If you don't like the nigga, what he did, go slap the nigga when you see him. But don't run to the internet, my nigga. The next thing is, do I feel like loop makers deserve credit? These niggas are nicer than me because I'm just gonna buy the loop from you and not tell you we got a placement, and I'm gonna let the song come out.
Shout out to Bricks. We've collaborated on beats before, but I will say this. Bricks is smart. He's been in the game a long time. Would he want a bigger producer to have done that to him when he was coming up? He wouldn't accept it now. If he didn't know better back then, maybe someone could have caught him slipping like that, but I doubt it. I don't know. Because like even I was dumb as shit when I first started. I didn't know anything about the music business when I first started. I don't think I would have fallen for that. Something would have set off my radar. So that leads me to this final thought from Jake One. Shout out to Jake One, amazing producer. I'm guessing this is in reference to what's happening with the Turbo situation. He said, as a producer who has had success as a loop maker and as a producer, I don't understand all the fury producer guys have for loop guys. Don't use their shit if you don't like the term seem easy. It does seem easy. I think it could be a lot simpler. If you wouldn't have wanted a bigger producer to do it to you when you were coming up, don't do it to a smaller producer now that you're established in the music industry. Plain and simple. It's the golden rule. If we all followed the golden rule, the industry would transform itself in a day. For those of you who are loop makers, you're sending loops out, have legal representation. You don't get off the hook just because you don't know shit about the music business. I don't like hearing people complaining about the music business and then it becomes clear that they didn't even do the minimum amount of work to learn it. So my advice is have legal representation. Let your management, let your lawyers, let them be the bad guys on your behalf. I'm telling you this from experience. As someone who has done what BricksDaMane told you not to do, it's not gonna help you. Let the lawyer be the bad guy. Don't air stuff out on the internet unless, just don't do it. But if you have to do it, know that it could potentially backfire. When I did it, look, it hurt me more than it helped me. It felt good to get it all out on the internet, but in the long run, it's best to control your impulses, to control your emotions, even in unfair situations, even when someone is doing you wrong, even when you're in the right. Even if it feels unfair, control your impulses to protect your future opportunities in the long run. We make life so complicated in the music business. Really, we could just treat each other the way we want to be treated and everything would be fine. Learn the music business, respect yourself, respect those around you. That's really all I have to say. Peace.